everyone. My name is Illena Armstrong, and I am the president of the Cloud Security Alliance. It's great to have you here for our second day of our annual Zero Trust Summit. Certainly, I hope that your first day proved very helpful. We have a number of wonderfully advanced experts from the industry who have been supporting our Zero Trust Advancement Center and all of the research, the guidance, the frameworks that we create coming out of that. And many of them, of course, are participating in this summit today as well as yesterday. So I'm sure you'll learn some more great insight, gain some great insight and lessons over the course of the second day here. What I wanted to do is talk a little bit about what those experts have been working on and what they're intending to release even into the next month or two. And I'll get into that shortly. But I first wanted to talk a little bit about some of the areas of concern that we've been hearing about from our CXO contacts and other individuals and industry friends in the market when it comes to certainly zero trust implementation specifically, but then also just generally some cybersecurity concerns and challenges that they're kind of trying to think about and get ahead of for 2026. Obviously, budget is still an issue in the sense that organizations now seem to be actually dedicating more and more dollars to cybersecurity and certainly to zero trust strategy to support the implementation and the betterment of cybersecurity controls and defenses, as well as resilience postures. But that doesn't really affect the fact that many CISOs are feeling like they're not necessarily getting their money's worth when it comes to ensuring they're investing these dollars effectively to actually address some of those risks and some of the more pressing risks, especially to deal with how bad actors are leveraging AI, for example. When it comes to zero trust specifically, certainly there are concerns about legacy issues. So more than 80% of CISOs who responded to this survey, I believe it was a Wiz survey, and the link is all of the links to the research that I referenced you can find within these slides. They're definitely concerned about how they continue to extend their zero trust strategy across not only their cloud networks, but also those legacy systems that they still rely on and they must rely on, especially given the fact that many of those don't necessarily support more modern authentication methods, and there continue to be operational challenges. They're finding it quite difficult to navigate zero trust implementations in those situations. Another issue comes to the fore when we're talking about regulatory pressures. We're seeing more and more regulations being created to address AI issues and other problems. A lot of federal charges, some of which have been recently dropped, we've learned. But the fact of the matter is, CISOs are feeling like there's really little margin for error now when they're looking at some of these regulatory mandates, where they have to make sure that all of their cyber risk planning really aligns very closely to business goals, and they're also keeping their boards, their C-suite informed to protect themselves and their companies against legal liabilities. Skills gaps continue to be a worry just across the board, but especially when it comes to zero trust. And so organizations really want to ensure that if they are not necessarily finding individuals they can hire who have that zero trust expertise, they're at least upskilling those who are in place so that they can ensure they understand all of the various principles of zero trust strategy, what that means when it comes to their technological implementations. But then more than that, that they're able to really work effectively across their entire organization, given that sometimes the internal cultures don't necessarily embrace change all that well. So all of these things are very critical. And of course, trying to either hire individuals with that expertise or upskill those who are already in place requires budget. And so that, of course, impacts the budget asks and needs that folks are facing in 2026. Tool sprawl is another issue that continues to come to the fore. I've talked about this in a few of my recent presentations, the fact that a lot of organizations are feeling like they're just facing a tremendous amount of complexity in the cloud, and that some of these tools really need to be retired, not only because they're not necessarily, working effectively within their infrastructure, but they're also finding that there are higher yield solutions that they can put in place to address some of these needs, especially when it comes to zero trust principles. And then finally, when it comes to budgets, there's this need to ensure that there is an effective return on investment. And there's a trend that we're hearing where more and more chief financial officers are getting a bit more involved. And so there's this need for a bit more, close alignment between the thinking of the chief information security officer and the chief financial officer. They need to really strengthen their communications and understanding of what's needed. When it comes to zero trust implementations, there's concerns about configuration drift as well. And so all of these things are playing a part in what it means to ensure that their zero trust strategies and the associated technological implementations provide a really strong return on investment. Some other worries, obviously, identity and access management. Most organizations have and continue to invest in identity and access management solutions, multi-factor authentication, and they want to make sure that their zero trust planning and strategies are aligned with these implementations. I talked about this earlier, how we often see with any kind of change in our technological infrastructure, you can see some internal sort of pushback from different team members. So there's this need to make sure that when these changes are taking place, when zero trust implementations and different security controls are being put in place, that there's a balance with end user experience so that you don't see employees implementing workarounds or just abandoning processes altogether to get things done. So there's this need again for collaboration, especially when it comes to the support of a zero trust strategy, which is absolutely critical in this environment we're facing where cloud and AI are just tops. And that brings us to AI integration. Most CISOs say that AI is going to continue to transform cloud security. They're still trying to adapt. And at the same time, they're watching bad actors embrace AI to launch, bigger, more scary, different types of attacks, including ransomware and others. But the bottom line is, at this stage in the game, most organizations understand that zero trust continues to be a top priority. They understand that it is absolutely an essential pillar of their security posture, their resiliency posture, that it's ongoing and that it will be a continuous journey. So they want to engage in strategic planning that really accounts for these hybrid environments on which most organizations are dependent, cloud and legacy systems, and they want to ensure that they're integrating with very impactful technologies like AI. At the same time, there's this acknowledgement to have that continuous loop with all of their executive, their C-suite, their boards, and their divisional leaders so that there's this company-wide collaboration and understanding that zero trust is a journey. There will be phased rollouts. There will be, this need for constant configuration management, and that this is really just a multi-year transformation for the company that's critical right now for secure and essential operations in today's environment. So this is where CSA comes into play. And I just wanted to call out a few of the critical research releases, frameworks that we've done, and then call your attention to some that are under peer review that you can take a gander at. We definitely have our software-defined perimeter specifications. We've released this version 2. Version 3 is coming out, and you'll see additional implementation techniques, AI-driven automation examples, and an expansion of the implementation of framework that really takes into account hybrid mobile endpoints, Internet of Things, and operational technology. So do check that out. We'd love to have your feedback. We also have Zero Trust guidance for critical infrastructure. Even though that was released in 2024, it still is very relevant. It's sort of an evergreen piece that proves helpful to many of our members now. And then there are contributions from our various corporate members that you can find in our Zero Trust Advancement Center library. Really great stuff. This one came out earlier this year, and it outlines some concrete steps towards AI integration with ZT, which is quite timely right now, and certainly something you could check out. Some of the items that are under peer review include our Zero Trust guidance for building a resilient enterprise environment. And that really is all about providing a practical organizational and architectural guidance for leveraging ZT strategy for operational resilience. That peer review is open until the 5th. These next two, of course, you can check out until the 20th. One is using Zero Trust to secure enterprise information and large language model environments. Really critical right now, very timely. And it is a very practical guide to helping define policies, guidance, and measures to ensure that you're doing everything from strengthening your security awareness training to monitoring and enforcing data protection rules, you name it. It's just across the gamut, and should help you really understand how to support these AI environments. Using Zero Trust against identity spoofing. This is another one. It's all about that, continual authentication, using accurate, reliable ID attributes along the communication chain. And it offers a risk-based prevention approach and mitigation strategies to address these, the entire ID ecosystem. And again, peer review is open until the 20th for that one as well. And then when we're talking about this concern about lack of skills when it comes to Zero Trust, this is where we came in with the release of our certificate of competence in Zero Trust a couple of years ago. We've had so many wonderful individuals go through this. You can just check out LinkedIn and see how many people have their CCZT. It is a vendor neutral educational program that provides this really necessary credential right now, the CCZT. You can showcase your expertise, and it is award winning. So definitely encourage you to check that out. And tout it from the rooftops when you achieve it. So the rest of the day, you'll see a number of wonderful industry experts give you some insight, guidance, talk about some of the upcoming research that we have soon to be released, and just give you some really great advice on Zero Trust strategy and implementation. Certainly hope you enjoy the rest of the day with us, and thank you so much for clicking in. Take care, everyone.